There it goes. We are not going to turn in the homework right now. We're going to turn it in tomorrow. So I'm going to give you an assignment tonight. So here's what you're going to turn in tomorrow. Okay? Let me say what I'm going to say. Then you can ask a question. This is what you're going to turn in tomorrow. We're going to turn in 1-4. Then we're going to turn in 1-5A. 1-5A is that, what was it, 1 to 14, I think I assigned, right? So that's 1-5A. And then today, I'm going to assign 1-5 what? B. Very good. All right, so tomorrow. Now, some of you turned in 1-4 already. I haven't graded it because I'm just waiting for everybody to turn it in, all right? And the reason that I've taken this long is because of the whole locker situation, right? You can't get in your lockers. Some people have stuff in there. Most of you probably have it done, but I will collect everything tomorrow. So I'm collecting 3 things tomorrow. 1-4, I forget the page numbers. You can look on the lesson plan. It says all that stuff on there. So 1-4, 1-5A, which was already assigned, and then 1-5B, which I'm assigning today, all right? And if we have time, I think you should have some time to work on it in class. All right, let me see what 21, so I got like 20, almost 25 minutes.
1-4.
All right, 1-4, 1-4, 1-5A. Okay, they should be done already. Okay, 1-4 and 1-5A should be completed. All right, if they're not, you got tonight to do it. But I'm also assigning 1-5B tonight. Everybody good?
Yeah.
All right. And again, I would have collected those, but the whole locker situation kind of prevented me from doing that. All right, let's do this. We talked about congruent angles yesterday. Let's talk about this. So you should be taking notes, drawing this picture that I'm going to draw right here. It's just a bunch of straight lines. Shouldn't be that hard to draw. All right, we'll go like this. All right, these are all rays because it's an angle, and angles are made up of rays, and they have a common point. You remember what that common point is called? Anybody know? Vertex, very good. Okay, that's the vertex. Let me label this a little bit. I'm going to name the vertex N. This will be M, K, and P. So this is K, and this one is P. Just to make it a little easier for us, I'm going to, I'll make this angle 1, and I'll make this angle 2. Is that all right? That way I don't have to say MNK and KNP. It just makes it a little bit easier just to say angles 1 and 2. All right? They do that a lot, so we'll do it on this one. So what we're going to talk about is a word. It's called adjacent. It's a word that you may have heard before. You probably don't use it in your everyday language, but we're going to talk about adjacent angles. So here's the illustration I use for adjacent all the time. So you got a next door neighbor, okay? They live right next to you, all right? Everybody hear that? Your neighbor lives right next to you. Not talking about across the street or down the road. Talking about the person that lives right next to you. Okay, we would say that they live adjacent to you. You ever hear that word? Yes? No? Nobody's heard it? The word adjacent? Not one person? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, one person's heard it, but that's all right. This is a good time to hear it for the first time. So adjacent means you're right next to each other. Usually older people say that. Like, I don't hear teenagers saying, oh, well, yeah, I'm sitting right adjacent to somebody else. It's kind of a older person's word, all right? But adjacent means you are right next to them. Everybody hear me? So adjacent means right next to. So listen to it every once in a while. Maybe on a movie, a TV show, radio, just adults talking. You might hear somebody say adjacent, all right? Since I teach this all the time, every time I hear somebody say adjacent, I'm thinking, oh, I wish one of my geometry students was here and I could tell them that, yeah, people actually do use this word. All right, not often, but every once in a while. All right, so we know what adjacent means. It's right next to. So let's take a look at these angles. First of all, how many angles do I have in this whole picture right here? You got 2? 3. Why 3, Mario? That whole big angle, right? Yeah. Give me the whole big angle by the letters. Angle what? M, N what? P. M, N, P. Good. That whole big angle from here all the way to there. Everybody see that? M, N, P. Okay, that's an angle as well, isn't it? So we don't just have 2. How many do we have? We got 3 of them. All right? And if you wanted to put like a little 3, you could do that. If I put the arc, that means it's the whole thing. All right? Sometimes they'll show it like that. All right, everybody with me on that? So I'll keep that stuff on there. So which ones do you think are adjacent? There's two angles that are adjacent to each other. The ones that are right next to each other. Which ones do you think they are? 1 and 2. Very good. 1 and 2. They're adjacent to each other because they're right next door. What about angle 1 and angle 3? Angle 3 is that whole big angle, this whole big thing. Is angle 1 and 3 right next to each other? Not really, because look at angle 1. Angle 1 is just a part of angle 3, isn't it? It's not right next to it, okay? It makes up part of angle 3. Well, there's two ways. This is by definition. There's two ways to know, well, two things that have to be true, right, in order for them to be adjacent. Okay, the first one is they have to have a common side. All right, so we said angle 1 and 2 are adjacent angles. So what is the common side? If they're adjacent, which side is the common side with angle 2? With angle 1 and 2. Is it just K? Is that a side? K is just a point. What's a side of an angle? Side of an angle is what kind of a figure? It's not a point. It's a ray, right? So we got to use ray. So a ray has to be a side. So what ray or what side is in common with angle 1 and 2? Not P, because P has nothing to do with angle 1. Again, you're just giving me points. What did we just say? I said this for a reason. What is a side of a ray? What kind of a figure is a side of a side? I gave it to you. I said it. I'm thinking of the answer. The side of an angle. It's a ray. So it's got to be a ray. So I can't just say P. I can't just say K. I can't just say M. What is it? That's in common with angle 1 and 2? Does angle 2 have ray NM in it? NK, that's right. Look at this. Here, I'll make it a different color so you see it a little bit better. Yeah, they have to be in both of them, right? That ray, that side, has to be in common, right? A common side, which means it's in what? Both of them, right? So ray NK is part of angle 1. Would you agree? Right? So if you look at angle 1, this one right here, MNK, yep, NK is part of it. And it's also part of angle 2, KNP. Yes? All right. Is it part of MNP, angle 3, the whole big angle? Is ray NK make up a side of the big angle? Nope. It goes through inside the angle, doesn't it? All right. So far, we got one thing that's true. You do have a common side. There's a second thing that has to be true. Only two. It has no, now this one may sound a little weird, but I'll explain it to you. It has no common, oops, come on. It has no common interior points. Probably thinking, what does that mean? Well, I'll show you. I'm going to go a different color here. Has no common interior points. So in order for two angles to be adjacent angles, they cannot have a common interior point, which means you cannot have a point inside angle 1 and that same point is also inside angle 2. Do you hear what I just said? All right, so you can't have that. You cannot have a common interior point. So if I put this in here, what angle, as far as 1 and 2 is concerned, what angle is that point inside of? Angle 1. I said between 1 and 2. Between 1 and 2. So don't say 3. Between angles 1 and 2. That point is inside angle what? Angle 1. Right? I'm not getting much response. Are you just not wanting to talk to me, or you just don't know? So look at MNK. You see that angle 1 right there? This right here? Where is this? It's inside, isn't it? It's the interior of angle MNK, or angle 1. Okay? Everybody see that? Yes. Is there anywhere that you could put a point inside angle 1 that's also, the same point is also in angle 2? No. What if I put it right here in the middle, like you said? Is it in the interior? No, not when it's right on it. Like angle K. Is angle K in the interior of this angle 1? No, it's right on the angle, isn't it? It's not the interior. All right, I can get as close as I want. Am I ever going to get a point in angle 1 that's also in angle 2? No, I'm not. All right. You could do the same thing with angle 2. Let's change colors. So watch. I could put a point in angle 2. That's in the interior of angle 2. is there any way I could put a point in angle 2 that's also in angle 1? No, there's not. So, does it fit this? Does it have no common interior points? Yes, there are no common interior points, right? It's not shared. You can't put a point anywhere. Even if I put it like way out here like this, is that shared by both of them? Nope. Put a point down here like this. Is that shared by both of them? No. Everybody got it? So, it has no common interior points. So angle 1 and 2 are adjacent to each other. A lot of people think angle 1 and angle 3 are adjacent to each other. We said earlier that they weren't, but check this out. If I put a point right here, this one right here, if I put a point there, that's an angle 3, isn't it? But it's also in angle what? It's in angle 1. It's in angle 3 because remember, angle 3 is that whole big angle. But it's also in angle 1 right there. So that means angle 3 and angle 1 do have a common interior point. Am I allowed to have a common interior point if they're adjacent angles? No, I can't. So if any of these points are in angle 3, aren't they? That means angle 3 is not adjacent to angle 1 or angle 2. All right, enough of that. Let's move on. Now we're going to really do some stuff. This next little thing that we're going to do is going to lead us up to our example. Now that whole adjacent angle thing, there's another chapter that we do something and we talk about adjacent angles. I think it might be the only time that I remember even caring about adjacent angles, all right? But there is something in another chapter we're going to do, and we're going to look back on this, and we're going to say adjacent angles. You got to know which ones I'm talking about, all right? So that's why I spent so much time on that. Okay, the next thing, we give it a name. I'll tell you what the name is, and then I'll describe it for you. It's called the angle addition. Addition. They call it a postulate. Do you remember that word? We used that, I didn't use it yesterday or the day before, forget. Remember, did correspond? No, that was the other class. Sorry, I lied. So a postulate is something that's just accepted as fact. We don't have to prove it. It's just accepted as fact. Okay, that's when you use the word postulate, that's what we use. All right, let me draw you a picture. And it kind of looks like the picture that we just finished doing, but I'll draw a new one. And yeah, I'll just make it look the same. But what I'm going to do, just like the postulate says, I'm going to add what? What am I going to add? I'm going to add addition. What am I going to add? Look, it's right there in front of you. What am I going to add? Angles, thank you. Look, come on. You got to see that, right? Oops. There we go. All right, I'm going to add angles together. That's why they call the angle addition postulate. Yes? All right. Taj, you getting all this, aren't you? Yeah? Well, you must see better with your eyes closed than I do then. All right. So let's take a look. We'll call this angle 1 and angle 2. I tell you what, I'm not even going to do that. What if I told you, let's do this. What if I told you that this was, I don't know, 40 degrees? This angle right here, okay? And this angle right here, let's make it, I don't know, 20 degrees. See that one right there? Okay. Terrell, you're not allowed to eat in here. Don't put it in your mouth. I've said it from almost day one. All right, put it away. Don't give me that look. All right, you know you're not supposed to eat in here. Don't eat it. I just said don't eat it because you just ate it. I'm writing you up. Dude. I just told you not to eat it and you stuck it in your mouth. All right. How in the world? You didn't do nothing. Sure. Oh, goodness. I made it so easy for you. I told you don't eat it. And you did. What else am I supposed to do? No, I'll keep talking. I'll talk as long as I want. I'll talk to you as long as I want. How do you not get it? I don't understand. It's so easy. It's so easy just to comply. All right, here we go. Let's get back to this. What if I asked you, I'll tell you what, let's label it, make it a lot easier for us. Oops. All right, what if I asked you to find the measure of angle ABC? All right, here's what they're going to say. They're going to say find. Now, I'll show you this. In the book, they put a little m in front of the angle. The m means measure of. All right, a lot of teachers are really sticklers on this thing. They always make you put the m there. I'm not going to make you put the m there. All right, but when they ask for an angle, when they ask you to find an angle, that's what they're asking you to find, to measure the angle. So they want it in degrees. All right, so I want you to find angle ABC. It's really not that difficult. So what is the measure of angle ABC? ABC, the whole thing. What's the whole thing? 60 degrees. Very good. Okay, how'd you get 60 degrees? That's it. You went to 40 plus the 20. So here's your work. 40 plus 20 equals what? 60 degrees. That's the angle addition postulate. When you have two angles next to each other like this, you can add the measures of the angle. You can actually add the degrees together to get the whole entire angle. So what's the whole entire angle? It's 60 degrees. What if, it still works the same postulate. What if I said this is x degrees? What if I gave you the whole entire angle and I gave you just one of these smaller angles? How would you find angle x? You would just subtract it this time. That's right, because these two add up to be 60. If you don't know this, you would just go what? You got it. It's 60 minus 40, which is what? 20 degrees. So x equals 20 degrees. All right, that's the kind of stuff that they're going to ask you. But this is kind of simplified. Okay, you will have to do this kind of stuff with actual numbers like this. But guess what they're going to do eventually? Not today, but you'll see it on the homework. They'll make, instead of x, they'll make it like, I don't know, 3x plus 2. And they'll make, instead of 40, they'll say, I don't know, 5x minus 1 or something like that. Everybody see that? So what would you do? Now, I don't know if these numbers come out pretty. That probably won't. I just made these things up. But what does this and this add up to be? I told you what it was. It was 60, right? So how would you set that up? You would go 5x minus 1 plus what? 3x plus 2. And what does it equal when I add those two up? The whole thing, which I told you already, was 60. Okay? And then you do the algebra, you'd solve for x, and then you would put it into one of these and get it. Everybody see that? That's what they're going to have you do eventually. All right? So make sure that you understand that. Let me do one example and we will be finished. All right? This will probably take us right up to the end of class. What's that? No, you only got 5 minutes left. You can wait 5 minutes. All right, so here we go. They say this is angle 1. They say this is angle 2. And they tell you this. Look what I did. I put it in red so it pops out a little bit at you. What does that mean about 1 and 2? If I put an arc here and an arc here, what does that tell us? They're the same, exactly. They're equal to each other, okay? So these two angles are equal to each other. Everybody with me on that? So just by putting the arcs there, they tell you that they are equal to each other. Here's what they're going to ask you to find. They're going to say find angle 2. Oh, they put letters in here as well. Let me just do that real quick. This is A, B, C, and D. All right, I need that. So they say find angle 2 and find angle BAD. If angle 1 is equal to 55 degrees. All right? So there you go. That's the question. All right? You're going to find two things. You want to find angle 2 and you want to find angle BAD, that bad angle. All right? So let's take a look. Angle 2 is super easy without doing any math whatsoever. Everybody could just look at it and tell. So if angle 1 is 55 degrees, here, I'm going to replace that 1 with a 55 degrees. Make it a little easier to see. So if angle 1 is 55 degrees, what's angle 2 going to be? How do you know, Josh? Because it says they're equal to each other. That's right. All right. It says with the arcs right here, it says that they're the same. So if this is 55, what's this one? That's 55. All right. So that was easy. Everybody agree with that? Yeah. All right. So that's one of my answers. I circle it. Angle BAD. It's not much more difficult. Okay. It's pretty easy, but it's a little more difficult than just writing down 55. So BAD. Where is BAD? BAD. So what are we looking for? We're looking for that whole entire angle right there. That's what we're trying to find when it says find angle BAD. So what do, Josh? Okay, Owen, just add them together. All right, that's it. Because that whole angle, right, are these two added up, right? These two make up that whole big angle. And you just add them up. So 55, show your work. 55 plus 55 equals 110. Do we just put 110 and circle it? No, it's degrees. And you should also do this. Everybody watch. Yep, you should say that angle BAD equals 110. I'll move that a little closer. I wouldn't mark it wrong if you don't, but I know some teachers that would mark it wrong. All right? So write angle BAD equals 110. That way I know exactly, especially on a quiz or a test, all right? Make sure you do that so I know exactly which angle you're finding. Because there may be questions where you have to find 2, 3, even 4 different angles in one question. So you got to tell me which one's which. Question. You wouldn't know. That's right. It's a good question. If they didn't put those little red arcs there, they're not always going to be red. Actually, in the book, I think they do put them red. But anyway, if they don't put the arcs there, you wouldn't know that 1 and 2 are equal to each other. They would have to tell you, right? They could do this. They might have the word given, and they might say angle 1 equals angle 2. They could do that, all right? So they could do it 1 or 2 ways. I doubt they would do it both ways, but they'd either tell you up here that 1 and 2 are equal, or they would put the 2 arcs right here, and then that would tell you that they're equal to each other. I can't think of any other way that they would tell you. Yeah. Yeah, let's write that down. I'll write it down. So it's on the lesson plans, yes. So it's today's homework is 1.5b, and I don't know if it starts at 27 because last year I put it all together. I didn't do an A and a B. I put it all together. So it's somewhere around 27 to 29, okay? And then 1 to 14 you were already supposed to do. That was part A, all right? And then this one is 21 to 28. Anybody looking at their lesson plan? And then 34 to 45. I think that's what I wrote on the lesson plan. Is that true? Let me take a peek. Yep, that's exactly what I wrote. Okay, so there, oops. That's your homework right there. It's on the lesson plans that I gave you on Monday. It's on Facts, right? Go to the computer program where your grades are. It's on there. And it's right here. It's right here on YouTube if you forget. All right, have a seat till the bell rings. It's going to ring any minute, so just have a seat until it rings.